Have you ever felt trapped in a storm of uncertainty, unsure if the love you hold on to is truly meant for you, or simply a fear of being alone? Life has a way of teaching us powerful lessons through the relationships we invest in, and sometimes, it's through the hardest experiences that we discover our greatest strength. In this video, we'll explore how to let go of what no longer serves us and find freedom in reclaiming our own power. Stay with me until the end, because what you'll uncover today could change how you see yourself and your relationships forever. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, I encourage you to click the subscribe button and ring the notification bell to stay updated on all our latest content. Your support means a lot, so if you find value in this video, please give it a thumbs up to help spread our message. I'm eager to hear your thoughts on today's topic. If you enjoy the content, please comment 1 below. If it doesn't resonate with you, leave a 0. Your feedback is crucial as it helps me create better videos that align with your interests. Now, let's get started. I convinced myself that if I let go of you, I'd lose the only chance at love I would ever have, as if love was some finite resource that once spent, could never be regained. I lived with the belief that if I walked away, I'd be lost, left to navigate life alone without the safety net you provided. But deep down, I knew our love wasn't the kind that would sustain me. It was conditional, fragile, and too often, it felt like it was held together by threads of compromise and fear rather than true emotional connection. Then one day, something changed. It wasn't a grand moment or some dramatic epiphany. It was quiet, almost unnoticeable, a shift inside me that whispered, "You deserve more." For the first time in a long time, I allowed myself to consider the possibility that being on my own might be better than staying in a relationship that no longer nourished me. I realized that if the love I was holding on to was shallow and conditional, then I would rather walk through life on my own, with my head held high and my heart free of the weight you placed on it. That realization was liberating. It was as if I had been walking in a fog for so long, and suddenly the air cleared, and I could breathe again. The chains of fear and insecurity began to fall away, and I saw things for what they truly were. I didn't need someone to complete me. I didn't need to settle for a love that made me question my worth or keep me trapped in a cycle of uncertainty. I found the strength within myself to understand that I am whole on my own. And with that understanding came a sense of freedom I hadn't felt in years. I need you to hear this. A mind clouded by negativity and self-doubt can never find true happiness. You cannot build a life filled with joy and positivity when you're anchored in pain, bitterness, and fear. I don't say this lightly or without personal experience. I say it because I lived it. For too long, I allowed the hurt from our relationship to fester inside me, to consume my thoughts and taint my view of the world. I clung to the idea of what we were, thinking that if I held on tightly enough, the pain would go away. But it never did. Instead, it weighed me down, keeping me stuck in a place of darkness, unable to see the light that was always just out of reach. It was only when I made the conscious decision to let go of that pain, to release the bitterness, the anger, and the hurt, that I began to feel the weight lift from my soul. It was as if a dam had broken, and the flood of emotions I had been holding back finally washed away. In letting go, I didn't just release you. I released the version of myself that believed I needed you to be whole. I let go of the part of me that thought I wasn't enough without you. And in doing so, I found something far more valuable than any relationship could give me. I found myself. And here's the most surprising part. I don't regret any of it. Not even for a second. I don't regret our time together, the love we shared, or the pain I endured. Because I can now see that you weren't a mistake in my life. You were a lesson, a powerful one. You taught me things about myself that I might never have discovered otherwise. You showed me my own strength, resilience, and capacity for growth. Without our relationship, I may have continued to live in the shadows of self-doubt, never realizing the light that was waiting to shine within me. In losing you, I didn't lose myself. In fact, I found myself for the first time in a long time. In the space where you used to be, I discovered the person I had always been but had forgotten. Someone strong, capable, and worthy of love, not just from others but from myself. I found the courage to stand on my own, to love myself without needing anyone else's validation. For so long, I had looked to you to fill the empty spaces inside me, but now I see that those spaces can only be filled by me. It's funny how life works, isn't it? The very thing I feared most, being without you, turned out to be the greatest gift I could have given myself. Walking away from you wasn't just about ending a relationship, it was about reclaiming my power. It was about choosing myself, my happiness, and my future over the fear of loneliness. I no longer need to rely on someone else to make me feel whole because I've learned that I am complete just as I am. I've learned that true love begins with self-love, and once you have that, the rest will fall into place. I don't regret you, and I don't regret the journey we took together. You were a chapter in my story, and while it wasn't the fairy tale I once imagined, it was a necessary chapter, one that helped me grow into the person I am today. And now, as I move forward, I carry the lessons you taught me, not with bitterness but with gratitude. Because without you, I wouldn't have found the most important person in my life, me. Now, as I write the next chapters of my life, I do so with a sense of freedom and confidence I've never felt before. I'm no longer afraid of what the future holds because I know that I have everything I need within me to face whatever comes next. I am strong, I am capable, and I am enough. And that, more than anything else, is the greatest gift I could have ever given myself. So thank you for being part of my journey, but I am moving on now, free and unafraid, ready to embrace the sunshine after the storm. We often forget that we are the ones holding the pen to our own stories. We are the creators of our fate, the architects of our destiny. Every single decision we make, every path we choose, either brings us closer to the life we want or pulls us further away from it. It's such a simple truth, yet one we overlook in the chaos of daily life. So if you ever feel lost, unsure of where you belong, just know that I still have a place for you, here on the left side of my chest. But I'll be honest, it's a bit of a mess in there. The last person who occupied that space left behind some wreckage that I'm still cleaning up. There's something beautiful in solitude, something that I never fully appreciated until I had no choice but to face it head-on. Being alone doesn't have to be lonely. In fact, after spending so much time chained to the wrong relationship, solitude feels like a kind of freedom I hadn't known before. I've learned that light never has to fight darkness. The moment light enters a space, the darkness simply disappears. It doesn't struggle, it just fades. And that's how I see healing now. You can't force someone to heal or grow before they're ready, just like you can't help a butterfly break free from its cocoon without causing harm. There are certain things that have to happen from within, certain transformations that can only unfold when the time is right. You can't rush it, and you certainly can't force it. What I've come to understand is that the most important changes in life come from the inside out. No amount of outside help or interference can make them happen any faster. It's like the sprout breaking through the soil. It can only happen when the seed is ready. I think back to our time together now, and instead of feeling sorrow or regret, I feel a strange sense of gratitude. Thank you for leaving. Thank you for not being there when I needed you. Because in that space, in that emptiness, I found the person I had been neglecting for so long, myself. And I've come to realize that the greatest love of all, the love that never fails, is the love I have for me. If you are still watching this video, and find these lessons useful, please comment number 1 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. At the end of the day, we are responsible for our happiness. We are the ones who must choose whether to hold on to the past or to embrace the future. And while I may have stumbled along the way, I now see clearly that every stumble was a step towards something greater. I've become my own source of strength, my own light in the darkness. And for that, I'm forever thankful. When you feel something ignite within you, that deep flutter in your chest, that warmth spreading through your soul, don't rush to understand or define it. Don't question it. Don't dissect it, just live it fully. Dive into it head first, because those fleeting moments of raw emotion are what life is truly made of. They are pure, unfiltered, and they remind us that we're alive. We often spend so much time searching for meaning, trying to categorize every feeling, that we forget to simply experience them. Life doesn't need constant explanation. It needs to be felt, to be savored. When something moves you, let it. Let it flood your senses and fill your heart. There's magic in allowing yourself to feel without restriction. Kindness should flow from us like breath, effortless, automatic, and constant. It shouldn't be something we offer sparingly or only when it's convenient. Sadly, kindness has become a rare commodity, something people think of as a gift rather than a way of life. But what if we chose to make it our default? What if kindness became the very foundation of who we are, the way we live? It's not about grand gestures or extraordinary acts of compassion. It's about being kind in the smallest, simplest moments. And no, you won't always be met with the same kindness you give. People may not always appreciate or reciprocate, but that doesn't mean you should stop. The ones who deserve your kindness will see it for what it truly is, a reflection of your strength, your character. Now, let's talk about perfection. Such an illusion, isn't it? So many people spend their lives searching for the perfect partner, the perfect friend, the perfect job. But here's the truth. In this world, perfection doesn't exist. We are all flawed, broken in some way. We are all people who have been hurt, stitched back together by time and love, carrying our scars with us. That's what makes us human, what makes us beautiful. We're messy, imperfect, and yet we keep going, keep loving. If you're searching for perfection in others, you'll always be left disappointed, because we're all a little damaged. But isn't there something incredibly beautiful in that? In being broken and still choosing to love, to trust, to try again. The greatest obstacle to success, more than failure itself, is listening to the wrong people. The voices that fill your head with doubt, fear, and negativity, they are poison to your soul. But even worse is when you let those voices control your actions, when you heed their toxic words and let them dictate your life. The most heartbreaking thing is watching someone with dreams and potential let those voices shape their destiny. Life will hand you all kinds of experiences, from moments of utter embarrassment and defeat to incredible highs and victories. Every single one of those experiences is like raw clay, unformed, waiting for you to shape it. The power is in your hands. You can take even the most painful moments and turn them into something beautiful if you choose to see them that way. And here's something that many of us need to hear. Not everyone you give your heart to will treat it with care. You won't always get back what you give. Some people will take advantage of your kindness, some will trample on it, and some won't even recognize it for what it is. That's why it's so important to be selective about who you give your energy to. Love deeply, but love wisely. Give your best, but only to those who truly deserve it. Not everyone is worthy of the light you bring into the world. Protect your heart, but don't close it off completely. There are people who will appreciate you, who will return your kindness tenfold. Focus on them. Apologies are another thing entirely. Some people, no matter how wrong they are, will never say, "I'm sorry." Not because they don't know they've hurt you, but because they lack the emotional maturity to admit it. Their pride and ego hold them back, keeping them stuck in their own shortcomings. It's not your job to make them realize their mistakes. You can't force someone to apologize, just like you can't force someone to grow. Their personal growth is their responsibility, not yours. You'll save yourself so much heartache by understanding this. But don't let their inability to say sorry harden your heart. Keep dancing through life, even if the music stops, even if you're dancing alone. Because dancing is about more than just music. It's about joy, about freedom, about celebrating yourself. Learn to love yourself in a way that sets a standard for how others should treat you. Show the world that you deserve respect, that you won't settle for anything less than the love and care you give yourself. The people who are meant to be in your life will see that and rise to meet you where you are. The ones worth keeping close are the ones who don't let their pride get in the way of your relationship. They're the ones who apologize when they're wrong, who reach out when they miss you, who can't stand being on bad terms with you. They don't wait for days or weeks to make amends because they value your connection more than being right. These are the people who show up when it matters, who make you feel seen and valued. They don't hold grudges. They don't let small disagreements turn into something bigger. These are the people who understand that love and friendship aren't about being perfect. They're about being real, about being there for each other through the good and the bad. Keep those people close, because in a world full of brokenness and chaos, they are the ones who make it all worth it. They remind you that even though life isn't perfect, there is still so much beauty to be found, especially in the bonds we create with those who truly care. So hold on to them, and let go of anyone who makes you question your worth. You deserve more than that, and deep down you know it. If you are still watching this video, and find these lessons useful, please comment number 2 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. From this moment forward, I release myself from the weight of all the fears I avoided, the chances I didn't take, the moments that slipped away because I was too afraid to embrace them fully. I forgive myself for the past I couldn't change, for the words I didn't say, for the battles I didn't fight when my heart knew I should have. It's easy to look back and think of all the ways I could have been braver, stronger, more present. But the truth is, I am no longer tied to those moments. Today, I choose to heal the parts of me that were hurt by those missed opportunities, and I vow to live in my present with a new sense of freedom. No more resentment, no more looking back with regret. My time is now. The past may have shaped me, but it no longer has the power to define who I am or where I'm going. We often forget that we have the power to change the narrative of our lives. I am rewriting mine, and in doing so, I understand that forgiving myself and others is an act of liberation. It's not about going back and repairing broken relationships or pretending the pain didn't happen. No, forgiveness isn't about inviting people who hurt me back into my life. It's about releasing the hold they had over me so I can live without carrying the burden of anger, betrayal, or resentment. True peace comes when you let go, not just of the people who wronged you, but of the emotional baggage that comes with holding on to the pain. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself to finally set your spirit free. I'm not here to keep reliving old wounds or continuing relationships that cause me harm. I forgive because I deserve to live in peace, and that peace begins when I release the past and stop letting it shape my present. You see, in life, we often talk about attracting what we are. We believe that like attracts like, and that we pull in people who mirror our energy. But sometimes, it's not about attracting what we are. Sometimes, we attract people who are desperately in need of what we are. People who see in us something they're missing, a light they hope to borrow because they haven't yet found it within themselves. And while this may feel like a deep connection at first, it's important to realize that not everyone who enters your life is there to stay. Some people are drawn to your energy because they need healing, and it's not your responsibility to fix them. I've learned that I must protect my heart, my energy, and my peace. Just because someone is drawn to my light doesn't mean they're meant to stay in my life. I have to be discerning. I have to know when to give and when to let go. Not everyone who comes into your life will appreciate what you have to offer, and that's okay. It's not my job to heal everyone, and it's not my job to lower my vibration to meet someone else's need. And then there are those magical moments, the ones that remind us why we love, why we connect, why we continue to open our hearts. One of the most beautiful feelings in the world is when you hug someone and feel them squeeze you back, just a little tighter, as if to say, I'm here, I feel you, and I need this too. It's in those moments that we remember the power of human connection, the warmth that comes from simply being present with someone else. These are the moments that remind me why love is worth it, why vulnerability is a strength, not a weakness. There will come a time when you realize that everything you've been searching for outside of yourself has been within you all along. The universe, with all its vastness, beauty, and complexity, resides within you. Every star, every planet, every piece of cosmic dust is reflected in your soul. You hold the magic, the power, the wisdom of the universe within yourself. And when that realization hits, you will no longer feel the need to chase after things that don't serve you. You won't feel the need to look for validation from the outside world. Because you'll know, deep down, that you are already whole. On that day, you'll stop living as though the world is something separate from you, something you have to navigate or conquer. Instead, you'll begin to see that the world lives within you. You are not a small being in a vast universe. You are the universe. The magic you possess isn't something to be found or earned. It's something that has always been there, waiting for you to recognize it. When you embrace that truth, the world shifts. You'll no longer be looking for meaning in external things because you'll realize that meaning comes from within. I no longer feel the need to force life to fit into a box of expectations. I no longer chase after people or opportunities that aren't meant for me. I am the creator of my own experience, the magician of my own story. My power lies not in controlling the world around me, but in mastering the world within me. This is my truth. I am the source of my own happiness, my own peace, and my own joy. So today, I live with an open heart, knowing that I am enough as I am. I forgive not because others deserve it, but because I deserve peace. I live in the present, embracing all that is, without carrying the weight of what was. The universe lives within me, and I am no longer searching outside myself for fulfillment. I am the magician, and my world is filled with magic, not because of what I have, but because of who I am. Sometimes, the most difficult and challenging roads lead us to the most breathtaking and transformative destinations. It's through the trials, the setbacks, and the seemingly impossible struggles that we grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. We tend to avoid pain and discomfort, but the truth is, the greatest personal growth often comes from those moments we wish we could escape. When we look back on our lives, it's not the easy paths we remember. It's the difficult ones that shaped us into who we are today. If you want to truly know who someone is, don't rely on what others say about them, because opinions can be biased and clouded by personal experiences. Instead, pay attention to how they speak about others. How do they talk about the people who aren't in the room? Do they uplift or criticize? Are their words filled with empathy or judgment? The way someone speaks about others is often a direct reflection of their inner world, their values, and their heart. It's in these quiet moments, these offhand comments, that a person's true nature is revealed. You learn more about a person by how they treat others, especially those who can do nothing for them, than you ever could by listening to their self-praise. Humility is a lesson we all need to learn at some point. It's the realization that no matter how much we achieve or how high we climb, we are not more important than anyone or anything else in this vast world. We are part of something so much bigger than ourselves. True humility comes from understanding that we are not the center of the universe, but a small piece of a larger, interconnected puzzle. When we grasp this, we no longer feel the need to compare ourselves to others, to measure our worth by external successes, or to seek validation from the outside. We find peace in knowing that our value isn't determined by how much we achieve, but by how we live and love. There's a common misconception that success leads to happiness, but in reality, it's the other way around. Happiness is the foundation for true success. When you find joy in the simple moments, in the life you're living now, success naturally follows. It's not about chasing the next goal, the next achievement, or the next big thing. It's about cultivating a sense of inner peace and fulfillment that doesn't depend on external circumstances. When you are truly happy, when you are content within yourself, you begin to attract the right opportunities, people, and experiences into your life. Success is not measured by material wealth or accomplishments, but by how much joy and love you can bring into your everyday life. The world is full of noise, distractions, and opinions, but the most dangerous thing you can do is let the voices of others drown out your own inner truth. We all encounter negative people who try to pull us down, and unfortunately, sometimes we give their words more weight than they deserve. The greatest act of self-sabotage is listening to those voices and allowing them to influence your decisions, your dreams, and your sense of worth. You have to guard your heart and mind fiercely. Not every opinion matters. Not every voice should be heard. Surround yourself with people who uplift you, who believe in you, and who remind you of your potential when you can't see it for yourself. And then there's the misconception about strength. People often assume that if you're strong, you're invincible. That you don't need help, don't need rest, don't need a shoulder to lean on. But even the strongest people feel pain. Even the strongest hearts get weary. The downside of being seen as a strong person is that others often fail to recognize when you're hurting. They assume you can handle anything because you always have. But strength isn't about never breaking. It's about knowing when to let go, when to ask for help, and when to allow yourself the space to heal. You don't have to carry the world on your shoulders all the time. It's okay to put down the load and admit that you need a break. True strength comes from vulnerability, knowing when to step back and take care of yourself. There's an old proverb, don't speak ill of the bridge until you've crossed the river. It's a reminder that we shouldn't judge a situation until we've lived through it ourselves. So often, we rush to criticize, to form opinions, to assume we know better. But until we've walked the road, until we've experienced the journey firsthand, we can never truly understand what someone else is going through. Patience and empathy are essential in life. Reserve judgment until you've been in their shoes, and even then, offer compassion before criticism. The world is full of stories of resilience, of flowers breaking through cracks in the pavement, of people rising from the ashes of their struggles. These stories remind us that no matter how hard life may seem, there is always a way forward. If a flower can bloom in the harshest conditions, so can we. We have that same strength, that same ability to push through, to rise above, and to find beauty in the most unexpected places. Our struggles may weigh us down, but they also give us the tools we need to grow, to adapt, and to thrive in ways we never thought possible. If you are still watching this video, and find these lessons useful, please comment number 3 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. To love without attachment, without needing someone to complete you, is one of the purest forms of love. When you love freely, without expectation, you create space for both yourself and the other person to grow. So often, love is confused with possession, with needing someone to fill a void within us. But true love isn't about needing, it's about allowing. Allowing the other person to be fully themselves, without trying to mold them into who you want them to be. It's about loving them as they are, flaws and all, and giving them the freedom to love you in return. Love that is free from attachment is a love that lasts. But here's the hardest truth. Most of us are strangers to ourselves. We spend our lives running from self-knowledge because it's uncomfortable. It's easier to stay distracted, to focus on external things, than to sit with ourselves and face the parts of us that we don't like. Self-knowledge requires courage. It requires us to confront our fears, our insecurities, and the demons we've been avoiding. But until we take that step, we will continue to live in the shadow of who we could be. The more we know ourselves, the more we can grow, heal, and step into our full potential. Self-awareness is the key to true freedom, but it comes at the cost of facing what we've been running from. In the end, life is about growth, resilience, and love. It's about facing the difficult paths, knowing that they lead to beautiful destinations. It's about being brave enough to walk into the darkness, because that's where you'll find the light. It's about loving fully, without needing, and letting go of the things that don't serve you. It's about discovering who you are and having the courage to live as your truest self. And above all, it's about realizing that no matter what happens, you have the power within you to rise, to bloom, and to shine, just like those flowers that break through the pavement. You are capable of more than you can imagine, and your journey, no matter how difficult, will always lead you to where you are meant to be. Don't let the negative opinions or harsh words of others take root in your mind or influence your sense of self. People will always have something to say, especially when they see you rising or succeeding in ways that they haven't. When someone speaks poorly of you, especially behind your back, understand that it often comes from a place of jealousy, insecurity, or a desire to bring others down to their level. Their criticism reflects their own shortcomings, not yours. Successful people, in particular, often face criticism from those who are envious of their achievements or too afraid to pursue their own dreams. But remember, the opinions of those who belittle your journey should not matter. They aren't the ones walking your path, or living your life. However, there is something far more significant in life than the opinions of others: how we treat the people closest to us, especially in their darkest moments. There is a universal truth that every woman knows deeply in her heart. A woman will never forget how a man treated her when she was most vulnerable, when the weight of the world seemed too much to bear. In those moments of struggle, of emotional turmoil, when everything feels like it's falling apart, a woman looks to the person by her side. The way a man responds in those critical times will shape her view of him forever.